lovely friends. Welcome to Flosstube number 14. I'm Suki the Brown-Eyed Stitcher, and I'm super happy to see you and talk to you today. So, I have a finish to show you guys. We're just gonna get right into it, I guess. I have a finish. This is my first finish in like 3.5 years. So, it's about time. 2000. Oh, I found the date, but I forget already. But it's been 3.5 years since my last finish. And even though a portion of that time is, I didn't stitch a whole lot. And then another good portion of that time I was monogamously stitching, working through some super difficult things. Stitching really was my therapy for a while. So it feels way past due to have a finish, and I do. This one, this is from Little House Needleworks, the Calendar Girl series. It is March. So they use 712 a lot in these charts, and it's this like cream color that you can see here, you can see in her dress, and it's very close to the fabric color, but you can still tell it's there, so like you can see that. But they use those in a lot of the patterns. My daughter's favorite is that the flower on top and the pot is down here. She loves that. It's her favorite part. This is a series I started in 2017 to stitch for my daughter. So that's what, 5 years ago? So she would have been 7 when she was 7 or 8 when she chose these patterns. I asked her if there was anything she wanted me to stitch for her, and we looked through a whole bunch of different things, and this is what she landed on. I mean, for a 7 or 8-year-old girl, like, it seems like a very mature choice to pick. But I got through January and February, which I intended to bring up to show along with these ones, but I didn't. That's okay. I think I showed them on Flosstube number 1. So I did those in the very early parts of, like, I don't know, the first 4 months of 2017. And then I didn't have any of the other patterns or fabric or anything. And then things just happened, and anyway, I obviously didn't get to these again. So when I was planning for Stitch Mania this year, well, I started planning for it last year, but you know, Mania of this year, I asked my daughter if she wanted me to finish the series. Like, did she still like it, and did she want me to finish it? And she immediately said yes. So I did. I said I'll start all the 10 of them, which, as you know, is not my brightest idea. To start 10 of like the same thing in 1 month, but I did. I did it. And then I asked her, once Mania was over, I asked her which piece I should complete first, and she chose for me to still work through them chronologically. So that's why March became like the first one. I'm just going to show it again. And so these are like, I don't know what to call them, but it's just the piece that I take if I'm going to go sit in a meeting somewhere, or if I'm watching a movie and I just want something little, like, I just reach for these. If I'm going to the car repair shop and sitting there, I take this. So it gets work regularly enough, and it's fun. So I'm going to finish all 12 of them before I fully finish any of them, and then I'm just going to fully finish all of them all at the same time so that they're like done the same. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in my thinking yet. So I started this on the 25th of May, and I did not write down when I finished it. My Instagram will say, however, I'm filming on my phone, which is where my Instagram is. Maybe we'll pop up that date on the screen, start and finish date. So that's my finish. I'm so excited that I have a finish. I have a finish. It's still current. I still have a finish. When you work on full coverage, like huge pieces, I love it, and that's fine. It doesn't totally bother me that I haven't had a finish in so long. But at the same time, I do like smaller pieces as well. And so it's really nice that now I have a variety. Like I have something small that I can take to like meetings and things, and I can see those being finished. And I don't ever have to feel like they're a focus piece. I can leave my focus for my bigger pieces and allow these smaller pieces to just be kind of that on the go kind of stitching, and they all get done. Like that'll get done way sooner than my super size or even a regular size having an earth design picture. So the one I'm working on now is, of course, April, because April comes after May. And let's see. She is looking like this now. I love these blues that they use in here. These kind of flowers are really cool. The bird is adorable. These are red, and she's going to be holding a watering can, and I think it's that same red. So the vine is completely done, and this is the bottom of her dress, I think. So so she's got like legs and shoes beneath this point, but the rest of that is her dress and the watering can. She still needs a sleeve and stuff. And obviously this needs to say April. But I didn't want to leave her dress completely all to the end. So I've been working in through here, and then I'll come over and do some of this, and then I come back and do a lot of that, and it's been working. So that is April. I really like how this whole series has, they all have the same feel from month to month, but they all have their uniqueness. Like, they use a slightly different color scheme, but like the tonality of the colors are all the same. Like, there's no bright jewel tones in this at all. Like, they're that more muted, like, tones of colors. But yeah, I think you understand what I'm saying. I just like how they're similar but different, and so it doesn't feel like I'm stitching the same thing, except for that vine in 434. Like, that's definitely the same in every single one. But what's attached to the vine is different, so there's that. The rest of these pieces aren't really in any particular order. They're not like in order of how I stitched it. So after Mania, I had like 34 whips, and I have set many of them aside to be worked on later so that I could focus on some active whips right now. And I can't remember how many, and it's changed. I had set out kind of this rotation, and then as I started working on it, I I decided to take two of the original ones that I was thinking and set those aside. So I just reduced my total by two because I realized I was still trying to work on like 10 pieces, which was still a lot, and I was just not feeling that over this month. And that's kind of what June was for me to kind of figure out this new like reduced rotation and making sure I still had the variety I wanted, but that I could still make the progress that I wanted also. So I think I hit kind of that sweet spot. Yeah, so anyway, this piece that I'm going to show you is Bubble Bubble Chocolate Trouble. This is artwork by Randall Spangler, and it is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Now, my daughter loves so many of the Randall Spanglers. If you're new here, you probably haven't seen her chart. No, she has not worked on it more since I showed it in my whip parade in early May, so like a month and a half ago. But she's working on another Randall Spangler, and she's strongly considering that any future Randall Spanglers that she or I stitch can be minis, because she wants a lot of Randall Spanglers. But they do look good in the minis. They don't look very pixelated. So I've been talking to a couple of you who are stitching minis of Randall Spanglers, and I've been showing her the pictures so that she sees them. Anyway, this piece doesn't get a whole lot of work in a month because I'm only going to work on it on the 12th, because that's correlates to my daughter's birthday. She's a December baby, but so the 12th of every month. Her birthday is December 12th. So the 12th of every month, I'm going to stitch on Bubble Bubble for her so that I keep this moving, if only for a little bit. So this is on 25 easy count, 2 over 1/10 stitch. And it's looking like this. We're doing all the sky first. I say we. I'm stitching all the sky first at her request. So in the picture, there's the ground and the dragons and this house and the moon. None of that is going to get stitched at first. It's just everything else. And then I can do the moon. And then I can do, I think she said do the house next. And then I think come down into the pumpkins. I think she said she wants the dragons done last, but I can't remember. And by the time I get there, she very well could change her mind. So what did I do? I was working in blue down in here, and I just went all the way across this way. So like this very top row was done, and I was working down here in this other column. I think I put in 379 stitches. So this is now at 3.08% finished. Somewhere in here is the official halfway mark, right over here. So that's fun. The next project for me to show you is Queen of the Night. This is Josephine Wall, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. And this one I have fully kitted onto these things, and it lives, these things, whatever, the thread organizers, and the Krennic. This one I've got in 1,269 stitches. So this gets a 4-day rotation every other week. And here's what it looks like right now. So I had been working on this page, the third page of the pattern, and then I decided I wanted to work all the way over because there's a big, big moon here. Right there. So I'm not quite there, I'm about here now. So I decided I was just going to work my way across the top to get to the moon. I'm about maybe 3-ish more columns. I think the moon starts maybe about here. This is on a 25 count, easy count, 2 over 1, 10 stitch. And now it's at 17.22% done. Look at all those blues, they're so pretty. So yeah, I decided I wanted to see the whole top row of the piece. So that's what I'm working on, is getting that whole top row done. It's the top, like 2-ish, what are they called? Rows, the top 2 rows of 10 blocks. You guys know what I mean. This piece is, I'm actually stitching this one for a friend. A very dear friend. She has a wall in her bedroom of Josephine Wall artwork, mostly in puzzle form, that she's found and like finished and then glued. She has some other things. She has an Amy Stewart puzzle up in honor of me. And I also have the puzzle, but I don't have it glued or hung anywhere. But I've done it before. So we have the same puzzle. But because I love Amy Stewart and she loves Josephine Wall, so she put them together on her bedroom wall. Anyway, so this I'm stitching and it's going to get added to her wall when it's finished. So this is a big focus for me, which is kind of one of the reasons why I needed to reduce my reduced rotation. Next up, this is Frodo and Galadriel. If you're searching it on the website, on the Heaven and Earth Design website, it is called The Gift there. But as you can see, it's called Frodo and Galadriel, except it's missing the L at the end. Artwork by Matt Stewart. And this is part of my future wall of Middle Earth, which I am so excited about, and I love that so many of you love it too, and that you also are going to stitch Middle Earth things with me, or are already stitching Middle Earth things, or are sending me patterns, tempting me to buy more for Middle Earth. Okay. Anyway, this is 25 count Lugana, 2 over 1 10 stitch. This is also my oldest project. I started this in 2016. Okay, so we are at, let's see, I've put in 1,179 stitches. Would you please go in my hand? Thank you. And it is at 5.56%. So last time I showed you, I talked about how I was like, I'm going to do this in a diagonal. And then I started working on this maybe like a week I don't know, maybe it was the weekend after. I don't know. I started working on this after I had been working on Queen of the Night. And I decided, just like on Queen of the Night, how I wanted to go and see the whole top take shape. I was like, oh, I'll do that with Frodo and Galadriel, because this poor piece has not been stitched a bajillion different ways already. Let's just add one more. So this diagonal did get finished, and then I started stitching my way across the top. I love how you see these leaves popping in so you can see things as it works. My daughter loves seeing all of these yellows. That's something that she definitely commented on, was like, it's so bright and there's so many yellows. I mean, many of those are the same yellow, but it's there. These ones look so sad. There's not very many there's not very many colors down here compared to up here. So that's what I'm working on. This is not quite the halfway point, but it does look like it is getting half because I have it split in half. So that's got to be really close to the halfway mark on that. My hope on this piece, starting next year, I want to have a full coverage finish every year. So I'm not trying to finish one this year. I don't have anything that I'm not willing to put everything aside in order to make that happen. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. So next year, 2023, I'm going to finish Queen of the Night. In 2024, I'm going to finish Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, super size, max color. In 2025, I'm going to finish Frodo and Galadriel. That's the plan. So this has, what is that, 3 years? 3.5 years to get finished. And then if I finish one of my full coverage Middle Earth patterns every 2 years after that point, I will have my Middle Earth pieces, my wall, done in like 11 years from now. And it's not just going to be these full coverage pieces, but the full coverage are like the biggest. I mean, it's 2 million stitches of full coverage of these big ones. So you're stuck with me for the long haul. Like, I'm going to be like Instagramming and YouTubing forever. And if I lose access to these for whatever reason and move on to other channels because, you know, technology changes in the course of the next decade, I'm sure, I'm just going to adapt. Like, and you're going to have to adapt with me, because I'm going to see this Middle Earth wall finished, and I'm going to show it off every step of the way. Okay. Yep, that's what I'm doing. All right, the next piece is Sabrina. This is my first Mirabilia design to stitch, and I'm stitching this with Catherine at Needleberry Stitcher. She is stitching this 100% as charted. She's got, she's stitching it 100% as charted, and I'm showing options. That's what we're going to go with. We're going to go with options. I've put in 903 stitches according to the chart. But in reality, I've put in more like 2,000 stitches, which I'll show you in a second. But I'm not counting it that way, so that's okay. This is a very beautiful 28 count linen in Sprite by Picture This Plus. And Here's where she looks like. She's so gorgeous. There we go. All right, she is gorgeous. I am loving this. I haven't seen her for a couple days now, and I'm like, she's so pretty. Okay, so the leaves are a Karen water lily, and there's also one of these pink colors is also another Karen water lily. It's kind of hard for me to point out which one because there's like 5 colors of pink in here. But I really love that you can tell where the different leaves are now that all of this is done. Everything from here up is finished. Everything. So here are the differences or the changes that in how I'm stitching it. The idea between Needleberry Stitcher and I is that she was going to do it and show the beads, and I was going to stitch it without beads. For anybody who thinks that Mirabilia is outside their range because they don't either want to bead, they don't like the look of beads, or beads are outside their budget, whatever your reason, most Mirabilias have beads, not all of them, but most of them do. But you don't have to stitch the beads. You can stitch them in their DMC color. And I did the extra thing of, where is it? I got this. Can you see how sparkly that is? My hand's not going to help at all because it's just so shimmery. This is a Kreinik blending filament. It is called, it doesn't tell me what it's called, but I think it's called Solar Holographic, if I remember correctly. This is what the bottom says. And I am using this with the floss for where the beads are. So you can see all of this up here that kind of looks like a tiara-ish thingy. That has floss. There's 4 colors of floss actually up here. 4? There might only be 3. It doesn't really matter. 3 or 4 colors of floss up in here and here in her earring. So in person you can see the sparkle. It's very hard to show sparkle on film, so I'm not even going to try. You're just going to have to trust me that there is some sparkle there. So one reason I did that was because I kind of wanted to set aside the beads from any regular stitching, because as I get further down, like into the dress, there's going to be bead colors next to the same floss colors. And if you're just stitching with floss, you're not really going to be able to tell a difference. And so I'm putting in this blending filament in order to give it just a little bit of difference, a little pop. I chose this particular blending filament, but because I thought that it would go really well with all the colors. But if you want to do this, then just choose your own blending filament. It's cheaper than beads to do a blending filament and DMC floss. So the other change I made is her skin is 1/1. It is not charted that way. It's charted 2/2. So if you want to see that, go check out Needleberry Stitcher's version. But this is 1/1. And I did this for 2 reasons. One, I've always been fascinated by 1/1 skin. I love how it looks in pictures. I just didn't know in person what it was going to be like. I'm not afraid of 1/1 stitching. Like on 28 count, I stitch 28 count all the time. And 25 count. This is not a problem for me. But another reason I did it was because I'm not doing beads. So I really wanted to help add some dimension between like her skin and some of these beads. But there is a whole lot of skin. So just think I put in 903 stitches this last time. Most of it has been skin. Not all of it, but most of it. So, really, I put in almost 4 times 900 stitches. But I'm just not counting it that way. Anyway, I probably didn't need to explain all of that. That was probably like over-explained, but she is so pretty. And I am excited for her. The bead colors in this piece, there's 4 of them. Here, if I show them. So 3, I guess these are the 3 that I've used so far. And then black is the other one. And that's gonna be like down in her dress before I get to that. The piece I am working on right now is Under the Sea. This was a stitch along in 2017 by Lakeside Needlecraft. There's another company doing an Under the Sea stitch along this year, but this is also called Under the Sea by a different company. And last time I finished part 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I finished part 7, and this time I started in on part 8. So here's the whole thing, and I am here, right here. So the vining seaweed stuff, it'll come down here. I stitched that fish, the starfish, and the first color of 2 fish. And then down here is a stingray. My daughter and I looked up the difference between a stingray and a manta ray today. And already I can't remember the answer. A stingray, I'm pretty certain, with the mouth on the bottom. It's a really cute aquatic creature that I'm going to be stitching. And then there's another fish, I think on this side of the ray. See, if I just call it ray, then I will, of course, be correct. So that's where I'm at. It's feasible. It's possible for me to get this done in 4 days, like in my 4-day rotation in 1 week, but it's not very likely for that to happen. I've got too many things going on. So that's about 60% done. I like that. That's my oldest non-full coverage piece, which is why it's a focus right now. Because it needs to be done. I started that one in 2017. The last piece that I have worked on since my last video 2 weeks ago is, of course, Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the supersized max color version. And y'all, I am so proud of you all for diving into the supersized max color world, especially with the Amy Stewart bookshelves. So many of you have started the Grand Library recently and have chosen to do it in the supersized max color version, and it makes my heart so happy to see that you guys like feel comfortable and confident and are really enjoying the process of it. Like, yes. I personally think that supersized max color is easier than regular size max color. Because yes, you have a lot more colors, but you also have a lot more stitches in which to use all of those colors. Anyway, I am so happy at how many people have decided to take on an Amy Stewart bookshelf, but do it in the supersize or the supersize max color version. I'm so happy. And so many of you guys are doing an intense stitch too. So I am like, I'm just in love. I love it so much. Okay, so I put in 9,664 stitches in this. Oh, this one is going to be on 28 count. It is. This is on 28 count, easy count, 2 over 1 10th stitch. I put in 9,664 stitches, and this morning I hit 43.06%. Ta-da! 43, y'all. Okay, so halfway through the bookshelf was here. So I'm officially in the second half of the bookshelf, well into the second half. And it's halfway through the year now. So I am ahead of schedule. Well, I'm ahead of like my original schedule, except I'm really trying to get this shelf done by the end of October. So I have like 4 months to do that much. It's very doable. If I keep to my goal of 600 stitches a day, I'm not going to have a problem. That accounts for days that I'm out of town or are so busy that I really can't get to many stitches on here at all. So what's going on here? Once I hit here, I really loved stitching all these blues, and now I'm really loving all the pinks that are in here. These colors are fine, I don't mind stitching with them, but like I love the jewel tones that I've been hitting. Now this, I thought, ignore this right here, okay? I thought that this could be a fairy, like her head over here and her arms outstretched here. I have since changed my mind because those look like fairy wings. And that means that her torso has to be here. So now I'm thinking that we've got a fairy here, like her face and stuff here, and then her body's out this way, and this is like her dress. Do fairies wear dresses? Is that what they're called? And then maybe an arm outstretched here because there's like a fairy trail that comes down here. That is what I'm thinking is going on with her. Look at that. So good. I love it. I love it so much. There is nothing about this chart that I don't love. I love the whole thing, and I love discovering what it is that I'm stitching as I'm stitching it, because I like never look at the artwork. Clearly I have the artwork. I could show it to you and I can look at it myself, but I just don't. Because I like the surprise of it. So, that is everything I stitched on in the last 2 weeks. And so I'll show you the only other thing. That's basically my active projects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then one more. So 7 active projects plus my on-the-go stitching. That makes 8. And then I have 2 others that they're not officially part of the rotation, but if there's a day that I just want to do something else, or that I feel like I want to be caught up on, then I have 2 other stitches that kind of fit. So officially I'm saying that I have 8 pieces in my rotation, and then 2 possibles. And then the remaining, however many, because I can't do math that quickly in my head, 21 pieces. Wait. 21 pieces. I have 33 whips now. 8 plus 2 is 10. So that's 23. Let's not listen to my math skills right now, y'all. Low 20s are inactive whips. That's where I was getting at, guys. So the last piece that's part of my rotation officially is Canopy Hearts. This is by Dakota Detweiler and is charted by Heaven and Earth Design. And Dakota's charts are all getting retired from Heaven and Earth Designs on July 4th, 2022. So, if you are interested in any of her charts, don't hesitate. Please go get them now because they will be unavailable. They will be retired very soon. So, this one is the regular size, but I have seen people stitching up the mini version, and it still looks really, really good. It has 11 colors. This one has 10 colors. And I stitched this on the last day of the month with, I started this with Alara. And I haven't done anything with it, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. That's just 300 stitches that I've done. Since I was showing all the rest of my, pieces for the rotation, I figure I'll just show you that one as well. And then the two potential pieces for me to work on is the Owl Forest Embroidery Houseplant Stitch Along. They've released 3 parts, but I've only stitched the first one. This is on a 40 count, so I'm stitching it 1/1 10th stitch because I really wanted to test out this coverage for a full coverage piece. One of my Middle Earth pieces I want to do on 40 count to keep the size down to what I want the overall wall to look like. So that's why I want to keep doing this one. They have a plant down here and a plant up here, I think. No, this side, over here. Those have been released, but I haven't done them yet. And then the other one, if I want to, is my temperature library. This one is designed by Christy's Corner Needlework on Etsy. And I do really want this one to be done, but so I really need to get it caught up because I really only have February done and I have the bookshelves done for May. So I need to figure out when I can give these two some attention. Because I really like all the pieces I'm currently working on. I love all my pieces. But I do really like my rotation right now, but I do struggle if I try to do more than 2 pieces in a day. It doesn't really work out for me very well right now. So if I, like on the 31st, or the last day of the month, I'm just going to do Canopy Heart. I'm not going to do whatever piece my regular rotation would say. The same with Bubble Bubble on the 12th. So I might just pick another day to slot in Temperature Bookshelf and another day to slot in the Houseplant one. I don't know. We'll see. So those are all my pieces that I was going to show you today, but I do have some haul to show you. One thing I bought was that blending filament for Sabrina, and of course it couldn't travel on its own, so I also bought some DMC that I needed for my master set that was getting extremely low or just flat out empty. I'm not going to show that because it's just DMC, but I got 2 patterns along with it. Well, 1 pattern and 1 kit. This is the Year in the Woods, number 7, the Bald Eagle. Number 8 has also been released, and it is a bear, and it is so cute. I love the whole series, and I'm really, really looking forward to stitching these. I don't know when. Probably next year. I really, really, really want to get to those ones. And then, I've never done a mill hill, but I really want to. But they have a lot. So then I was trying to decide for a long time which one to get. And ultimately, and I was a little surprised at myself on this. So, I got a Santa. This is the Southern Cross Santa. It is one of the first 3 that they released. The other 2 they released that year is like the North Pole and the Eastern Cross, I think, those 2. So what Mill Hill has done is they release 3 Santas every year, and they all have a theme and they go together. So the first 3 was Northern Lights, maybe? Northern Lights, Southern Cross, and Eastern something. I don't know. But I got this one, the Southern Cross Santa. That's the one I got first. I don't love, like, a lot of, like, the mainstream Santa, but I do love more that Father Christmas feel. And I think that's why I really like the Mill Hill Santa series. So I'm excited to try this someday. I'm not starting it anytime soon, but I have it now so that I could. And then I forgot to actually show this in the last one. It is a ginormous piece of 32 count Lugana. Easy. Lugana Murano is what it says. It is an easy count fabric. See? And it's big. I'm not even going to open it, but that is folded up. So I'm excited for this because obviously I have more full coverage patterns in my future, especially with my Heaven and Earth wall, Middle Earth wall in the works. So I needed some, and it was on sale when I bought it, and I bought it like, I don't remember why. Memorial Day maybe? Was that the end of May? That sounds about right. And last, okay. The response to the end of my last video, Flosstube number 13, was, I was not expecting, I don't expect anything ever. So I could not have expected the response that I got. Just like so many comments, so many private messages, from you. I love you all, and I'm so glad that you understand that, and I am immensely grateful for the love that you showed to me, and that for many of you, those words that I shared came when you needed them. And it's heartbreaking how many people can relate to some of those different things that I said. Even now still, I'm just floored and overwhelmed by that response. And my heart goes out to you all. But because of the response, I wanted to share two things today. And I don't know, maybe this will be a regular thing just because I feel like we could all use like that regular encouragement, the reminder. Um, you know, someone's cheering for you. Someone is saying you don't just have to rely on yourself. You're not like a crazy person. And yes, life is really hard sometimes, and awful things happen. And those things aren't okay, but you can be okay. And you can be better than okay, no matter how long it takes. So I wanted to share two things, like a fun fact and then like a resource for you, if you will. So you may have noticed that I have purple hair. I, the reason I have purple hair is because it became, in a lot of my circles, like a lot of the community I'm surrounded with, for the majority of my life, tend to be very conservative, and they'll dye, you might see dyed hair, but it's going to be like, the blonde highlights, or like they dyed everything brown to hide gray hair. Like kind of those normal things, but you don't normally see something that's a non-natural hair color. I don't know why I had to say all of that to say this. I didn't have to, but I did. I said it. So deciding to dye my hair, I didn't go purple like this all at once. I kind of went through a few iterations, like working my way up to like a full head, and I didn't even know that I was going to get to that point. Honestly, when I started, that wasn't something on my mind, but within 6 months, that's where I was. Anyway, dyeing my hair became something that I deliberately did for myself, to tell myself that I could take up space in this world, that I could do something that I wanted to do, even if comments were going to be made by people. And comments were made. For the most part, they've been like great comments. I've not really had like those judgy comments from people, even though it's not normal in their world. And now at this point, I've been dyeing my hair for, I don't know how long it's been, 3 years. And this is now normal in their world. They are very used to seeing me in purple hair, in all kinds. Like, they love it when it starts like fading out like this, and they always start looking out for when that happens. And then when I like freshly dye it again, like they're all very excited. And my piano students are really cute. They're like, "You did go dark again." I'm like, "Yes, I told you I was." And it's just really cute, and it's fun. And but that's why I have purple hair. Will I always need that very visible reminder to myself that I can take up space in this world, that I have needs and wants that are valid and acceptable, and that I can pursue? I hope I don't always need that reminder, and I actually think that it's starting to ebb away. Like, not that I want to get rid of my purple hair, I don't know, but I don't need it like I needed it in the beginning. It was almost this very safe way, but also a very prominent way to say, I exist. And I'm not apologizing for it. So that's why I have purple hair. And maybe one day, it'll look different. And that's okay too, because I don't need it for that reason anymore. Or maybe I still have it because I just like purple hair. I do like the purple hair. I really do. But I also love that I'm starting to feel like I could do something different. I can explore some more. I can continue to express myself, and it's okay because I'm learning what I was trying to learn by dyeing my hair. It seems kind of like a silly, easy thing, but it was very hard for me to do at first, and just really important for me. And so that's why I have purple hair. Okay, I didn't expect to talk that long about purple hair. The resource. There is a book that I am currently reading, and I am reading it very, very slow. It is called The Body Keeps the Score. It is by Bessel van der Kolk. I'm sorry if I butchered his name. The subtitle is Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. This is an excellent book, and I'm going to recommend it 100% to everybody. I don't care if you have trauma personally, or what kind of trauma you have, or if you don't have any trauma, likely you know somebody who has trauma, or will at some point in your life. It doesn't matter. You should read this book. You should just do it carefully if you have trauma, especially if you are trying to heal from trauma still. If you feel like you have healed from trauma and you are not triggered very often or ever, maybe anymore, you might not need as much caution. But if you have trauma in your life and you go and read this book, please, please, please do so carefully, and have a trusted person that you can reach out to if you find something difficult in this book or something eye-opening. This book is insanely eye-opening, but there are triggers everywhere. And I can't even say like this kind or this kind, like everything is touched in here. And it can be minor and it can be major, but it's in here. And there's not necessarily a warning. You should just know that this is a book about trauma, and it's about healing from trauma, but you have to understand trauma and what's happening within our brain, mind, and body. And so those are touched. If you don't, if trauma is not part of your past, personally, I guarantee that you know somebody who has experienced trauma, whether you know it or not. And so reading this will help you understand what is going on in somebody else that you have not experienced, and I sincerely hope will never experience. And even for somebody who is experiencing trauma, you don't always know what's going on. So you will understand a lot about what's going on inside of you, what happened, what's causing things that feel completely unrelated, and you can start piecing together what is going on. And when you understand what's going on, then you can move forward from it in an empowering sort of way. So, read this book, do so carefully, and talk about it with somebody. I volunteer to be that somebody if you have nobody else. I am, where am I in this book? I am on page 112. So I'm not even halfway through, and I've been reading it for months, and I have, like, I mark my books up, y'all, so I mark it. I don't have a lot of margin notes, but I do have a lot of underlining in this book. If you feel like it would be too much for you right now, and maybe you need a gentler approach to start approaching your healing from trauma. I did not start here, and I would not have started here. But maybe in some future videos I can also recommend some more gentler fiction books that maybe can help you start looking at your trauma in a gentle way, if that's possible with trauma, because it's tricky. I know it is. If you want to reach out and chat, I am happy to do so. I understand better that I want to be here to acknowledge that you experienced trauma, but also, and more importantly, be a support and an encouragement in your healing journey. Because that's a beautiful place to be. It's worth it. It's worth every challenging episode of responses or realizations or hardship, because on the other side of working through those things is a soul that is made more whole, made more beautiful. A commenter reminded me of that Japanese technique that starts with a K that I can't think of right now, where they take like pottery, like bowls or vases, and they break it apart, and then they fit the pieces back together, but the seams are made with gold. And it's such a beautiful image that we're not going to look like the original vase, because we're not. We are not ourselves as we were, which is honestly quite true whether or not you have trauma, but we are not the same person, and we cannot be the same person. So let's not try. Let's not try to be the same person. Let's put our pieces back together and add some gold. Add some silver. Add some sparkly. Like, we're going to add beauty to our souls by healing. And I am here to support that in you and hopefully empower you and feel like you can in that hard moment, whether it's happening right now or whether it's going to happen or has just recently happened, whatever. You're not alone. You don't have to be alone. And there are good things in the future if you just keep at it, even when it's hard, even when it's rough. You can do something about it. You can heal if you take the steps to heal. We can do this. And it's amazing. So, I hope that you are enjoying your stitching and that you continue to enjoy your stitching. And I will be back in a couple weeks with more of all of this. So so much love to you all. You are truly the very best. The best. And I wish I could meet every single one of you and just give hugs and see what you're working on and just chat. That would be so beautiful to be able to do. Until next time, my very dear friends. Bye.